This video is about the short and tragic life of Anissa Jones, who was one of the child stars from the classic TV show Family Affair, which also starred Brian Keith, Sebastian Cabot, Kathy Garver, and Johnny Whitaker. Anissa was a natural on screen. She had such potential, and yet when all was said and done, her promise as an actress would remain unfulfilled. Before I continue on with this cheery tale, let me introduce myself. Hi folks, my name is Dave Sundstrom, and I like to think of myself as something of a pop culture historian, at least when it comes to music, movies, and especially TV. Simply put, I love talking about this stuff. Alright, with that said, let's get rolling. Growing up, my sister and I thought Family Affair was actually called Buffy and Jody. They were our favorite characters on the show. I think we loved them because while we weren't twins, we were only 10 months apart from each other in age, and we identified with them. Anissa Jones and Johnny Whitaker weren't originally supposed to be twins, but when the casting directors saw those two kids together, well, scripts were rewritten, and the rest, as they say, was television history. So like I said, this video is all about Anissa. Man, she was so darn cute on the show. I won't comment on that darn Mrs. Beasley doll that she's holding other than to say I didn't like it. My sister had one as well, and I did my best to hide it from her whenever I could. That thing just gave me the creeps. By all accounts, Anissa was an absolute delight to work with on Family Affair, which ran for 5 seasons from 1966 to 1971. The show would film all of their episodes during a few months around summertime to accommodate actor Brian Keith's movie schedule. Unfortunately, when she wasn't actually making the show, she was doing promotional appearances on behalf of the show. I have to believe that this schedule was hard on Anissa, and Johnny Whitaker for that matter. They were so darn young. When the show started, Anissa was just 8 years old. That is a lot to ask of a child of such an early age. Anissa would be 13 when the show was unexpectedly canceled by CBS as part of their rural purge. Even though the cancellation caught the cast members a little bit by surprise, Anissa was also just a tiny bit relieved that she could take a break and move on to roles where she hoped to play characters that were a bit more mature. Not long after that, her Family Affair co-star Brian Keith offered Anissa a role in his new TV series, telling her that it was hers if she wanted it, no audition needed. A super cool move if you ask me, but that was just the kind of guy that Brian Keith was. However, like I said, Anissa was looking to move away from TV and onto movie roles that would help her break free from her Buffy character, something that she feared would be very difficult to do. One of the movies that Anissa read for was The Exorcist. However, the director of that movie felt that moviegoers would be taken aback by seeing such a familiar and cherished face in the role of a possessed child. For that reason, he opted to go in a different direction with a lesser-known, at least at the time, actress named Linda Blair. From what I understand, another actress who auditioned for The Exorcist was Pamela Ferdin. Back in the late 60s and early 70s, this young actress was everywhere, even on Family Affair. I recently made a video about her, which provides an update regarding what Pamela's been up to since successfully stepping away from the entertainment industry. Maybe I should stick with the word escape, because for whatever reason, transitioning from working in the world of entertainment to the real world can be an extremely difficult process for child actors. I'm certain that we can all think of at least one or two child stars who never made it out. Unfortunately, those painful stories just aren't in short supply. And like I said earlier, Anissa's story definitely falls into that category as well. By the time that Anissa was 15, she'd given up on Hollywood. While her parents had divorced prior to Anissa working on Family Affair, their bitter custody battle raged on for years. And although it's easy to blame Anissa's struggles on the entertainment industry, I have to believe that her parents' inability to get along also had an impact. When Anissa turned 18, she and her brother Paul got a place of their own. And from everything that I've read, their apartment was one of those places where lots of folks would gather to party and do drugs. Anissa would not reach her 19th birthday. On August 28, 1976, she succumbed to an accidental overdose of drugs. She was at a friend's house when she was discovered deceased. The night before, she had held that friend's hand tightly and told her that they would be friends forever. The whole darn thing is just so heartbreaking, really, if you think about it. 6 days after Anissa's death, Dr. Don Carlos Monchos was arrested and charged with illegally prescribing drugs to Anissa. While awaiting trial, he died on December 27, 1976, just 4 months after Anissa. 8 years after her death, her brother Paul would also overdose. It's just so sad to think about her family. By the time that Paula died in 1984, the only surviving member was her mother. There really is no easy way to end this video. There is no happy ending when it came to Anissa and her family. Well, if I'm looking for some sort of silver lining, anything, any sort of bright spot, I guess it's worth pointing out that her television brother, Johnny Whitaker, had his own struggles, but ultimately emerged victorious. It's the best I can do this time, folks. I wish I could end on a more upbeat note, but I can't. End of the day, though, we can still remember some of the good times in Anissa's life by watching that wonderful television show that she left behind. Anyway, please share your memories in the comments section, and while you're at it, I'd love a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and I would be absolutely honored if you would consider subscribing to my channel. I talk about music, movies, and mostly TV from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thanks so much for watching.